Good morning, students. We have already started with the chapter Microbes in Human Welfare under the unit Biology in Human Welfare. We have studied in certain ways microorganisms or microbes are helpful to human beings. Okay, that's what we will be studying. In this particular chapter. So we know what are microorganisms, and microorganisms are helpful in some household products. Okay, we have studied the example of curd, dough, toddy, cheese. Okay, and also we have studied about few industrial products that are produced by microorganisms. The first one was fermented beverage, second is antibiotic. Okay, so we have studied about fermented beverages and antibiotics in our previous classes. So today's class we will study about another type of industrial products that are produced by microorganisms. Okay, so those products are organic acids and alcohol. Okay, organic acids and alcohol are the next category of industrial products produced by microorganisms. So here if you look into certain organic acids which are produced by microorganisms, first organic acid is citric acid. It is a common type of acid that you all will be knowing. Citric acid is one important organic acid. Okay, why citric acid is included here? Because citric acid is an acid produced by a type of microorganism which is Aspergillus niger. Okay, so there is a particular type of fungus which is known as Aspergillus niger. Okay, it is a fungus. It produces this particular acid known as citric acid. This organic acids, knowing all the organic acids and the microbes producing those organic acids are very important, from your exam point of view. Okay, so the first organic acid is citric acid. It is produced by a microbe Aspergillus niger. The second organic acid is acetic acid. It is produced by a bacteria. Which bacteria? Acetobacter aceti. Okay, so this is the bacteria which produces acetic acid. The next organic acid is butyric acid. It is produced by a microbe Clostridium butylicum. Okay, the next type of organic acid is butyric acid. It is produced by a microbe Clostridium butylicum. Okay, it is a type of bacteria. Okay, so butyric acid is another organic acid produced by Clostridium butylicum, which is a bacteria. So next organic acid is lactic acid produced by Lactobacillus species. They are also produced by bacteria. So if you see, four organic acids: citric acid produced by Aspergillus niger, acetic acid produced by Acetobacter aceti, butyric acid Clostridium butylicum, lactic acid Lactobacillus species. You must be familiar with these organic acids and their microbes, because any point of time these questions could be asked. Okay, either the organic acid will be given and asked for the microorganism, or it will be done vice versa. So these are the different industrial products that are obtained by different microorganisms. So we can say microorganisms are also beneficial to human beings. So let's move on to the next group of industrial product produced by microorganisms. Okay, under this we will study about certain enzymes. Okay, you know enzymes are nothing but they are biocatalysts. Okay, they increase the rate of any biochemical reaction. So enzymes are also products of microorganisms which could be produced at industrial scale. Okay, so let's look into certain types of enzyme. The first enzyme is lipase. Okay, the first enzyme is lipase. It will be present inside most of the microorganisms. The name itself indicates this is the enzyme which is going to break down lipids. Okay, so hence this enzyme is used in detergent production. Okay, the detergent that we use for washing clothes, okay, that is produced with this enzyme lipase. Here you see what is the uses. What are the uses of this particular enzyme? Lipase enzyme is used in detergent formulation. Why? Because it helps in removing oily stain from laundry. Okay, laundry is the cloth that you are going to wash. If there are any oily stain, okay, the stain because of happened due to oil. You might have spilled oil on your clothes. Because of that, there is some oily stain on your laundry or clothes. Okay, if you wash this cloth with the help of this detergent, which carries this lipase enzyme. Lipase is a enzyme which breaks down lipid. Oil is also a form of lipid, isn't it? So when there is lipase enzyme in the detergent, this enzyme will break down all the oil content. Okay, it will break all the lipid content present in this laundry, in the stain, and it will remove the oil stain from your clothes. Okay, the next category of enzyme, pectinase and protease. Okay, pectinase and protease are the another two different types of enzymes. Okay, the name itself indicates pectinase. It is an enzyme which is going to break pectin. What is a pectin? Pectin is a polysaccharide which will be present in the plant cell wall. Okay, so we have studied plant cell wall is made up of pectin and cellulose. Okay, so pectin is a kind of polysaccharide which will be present in the plant cell wall. So pectinase is an enzyme which breaks that particular pectin. Protease is the enzyme which breaks down protein. Okay, pectinase is the enzyme which will break down pectins. Protease is the enzyme which will break down proteins. Since these two enzymes are helpful in breaking down plant cell wall and the proteins present in the fruit, okay, that is the reason they are used for clarifying bottled juices. In the juice making industry, where they prepare bottled juices, in order to clarify the bottled juices, if the juices are not, imagine you are using ripened mango for preparing a bottled juice. Even though after preparation the juice will be completely not clear because there will be some content of proteins or pectins which are present in the cell wall. That time if you use these enzymes, it will be completely digested by pectin and protease and the juice can be clarified. Okay, so this is used in order to prepare, in order to clarify bottled juices. The next type of enzyme is streptokinase. Okay, the next type of enzyme is streptokinase. Streptokinase is a common enzyme which actually removes blood clot. Okay, it removes blood clot. That is the reason it is used as a medicine in case of people who have undergone myocardial infarction, which is nothing but your heart attack. Okay, why are they used? I told you it acts as it removes blood clots. So people who have undergone heart attack, there will be some blood clots in their blood vessels. In order to remove those blood clots, we use this enzyme streptokinase. So it is given as in the form of medicine or a drug to the patients who have undergone myocardial infarction, which is nothing but heart attack. Read this. It is used as clot busters for removing clots from blood vessels of a patient who has undergone myocardial infarction. If a person has undergone a heart attack, there will be some blood clots in the person's blood vessels. Okay, in order to burst this blood clots, this particular enzyme is used. Okay, so these are the products of microorganisms which will be helpful for human beings. Okay, so these enzymes will be present in most of the microorganisms. So we will move on to the next category of industrial product, which are bioactive molecules. Okay, bioactive molecules. The first bioactive molecule is cyclosporin A. Okay, cyclosporin A. Cyclosporin is a type of biomolecule. Bioactive molecules means it is a kind of molecules which will be present inside a organism, living organism. So there is a fungus known as Trichoderma polysporum. There is a fungus known as Trichoderma polysporum. Inside this fungal body, there will be certain molecule known as cyclosporin A. It is known as bioactive molecule. What are their function? What are their use? What is their use? This molecule can be used as immunosuppressive agent in organ transplant patients. Okay, we have studied about immunosuppressive. I told you a person who has undergone organ transplantation, his body's T cells will not accept the newly transplanted organ as its own part of the body. It will start destroying the transplanted organs. In such cases, the person who has undergone organ transplantation has to be given this immunosuppressive agent. What this immunosuppressive agent will do is it will ask the T cells to keep quiet and not to harm the transplanted organ, newly transplanted organ. So such immunosuppressive agent is cyclosporin A. Okay, so people who have undergone organ transplantation surgery, they should be given this chemical so that their body's T cells will not kill the newly transplanted organ, considering it as a foreign body. The next bioactive molecule is statin. Okay, the next bioactive molecule is statin. Statin is obtained from again a fungus known as Monascus purpureus. Okay, there is a fungus known as Monascus purpureus. Inside the fungus, there will be this bioactive molecule known as statin. We have already known people, if there are some aged people in our house, if they are taking medicine for lowering their blood cholesterol level, on top of the tablets, this word will be written known as statin in different form. Okay, so ultimately the function of statin is known. It is used as blood cholesterol lowering agent. Okay, statin is used as blood cholesterol lowering agent. That means it reduces the blood cholesterol. Okay, it reduces the blood cholesterol. So it inhibits enzymes for cholesterol synthesis. How it reduces your blood cholesterol? It will inhibit or stop the enzymes who is producing cholesterol. Okay, there will be certain enzymes who will be helping cholesterol synthesis or cholesterol formation in our body. So the statin will block these enzymes. It will inform the enzymes not to produce cholesterol. It will block the enzyme from producing the cholesterol. When cholesterol is not produced, our body's blood cholesterol level decreases. Okay, so statin is one of the blood cholesterol lowering agent which is obtained from a fungus Monascus purpureus. So here also we will get to know in many ways microorganisms are helping the human beings. So the name microbes in human welfare is satisfied with these examples. So let's next move on to the topic microbes in sewage treatment. Okay, this is also an important concept for your exam. Okay, so let's move on to the topic microbes in sewage treatment. How microorganisms are helpful in treating the sewage. Treating means cleaning. Okay, here the name treating indicates cleaning. Sewage cleaning. Then what is sewage? What is the sewage? So here we can see municipal wastewater containing large quantities of human excreta is called sewage. Sewage is nothing but the drainage water that comes out of your house. Okay, not only from your house, from your whole locality, from any hospital, from from industries, from small scale industries. Okay, it is a normal municipal water or drainage water that we say. It comes out of your house and reaches a particular drainage system. Okay, it contains large quantity of human excreta. Since it is this water is running from your household, it is carrying a large quantity of human excreta, which is nothing but human feces or stool. Okay, so sewage is kind of water which contains large quantities of human excreta. Okay, all the human waste will be added into this sewage. It is a municipal wastewater because municipality is the actual department which is going to treat this water when it comes through your drainage. So it is known as municipal wastewater, which is coming out of your house, is known as sewage. Okay. Next, the wastewater is generated in cities and towns. We all generate this wastewater. Now, once this drainage water comes out of your house, can it be directly released to a river or water body? No, it cannot be done, because we have already discussed this is a wastewater coming from your locality, from all your neighboring houses. It contains a large amount of human excreta. So this water cannot be released directly to a river. Before releasing it into the river, it has to be treated or cleaned properly in a particular place. Okay, that place we call it as sewage treatment plants. Okay, here you see sewage treatment plants. There are certain units. Okay, there are certain units which will act mainly for cleaning the sewage water. So such units are known as sewage treatment plants. Like you have hydrothermal plants, different plants. Okay, you have certain particular reserved plants for treating only the sewage water. Such plants are known as sewage treatment plants. So once the water comes out of your house, before reaching the river, it has to go to sewage treatment plant. Here the sewage will be cleaned. Okay, to make it less polluting, we cannot say you will completely clarify the water, you will completely make the water pure for drinking. That will not happen in the sewage treatment plant. Here they will make it less polluting. When the water comes out, when the municipal wastewater comes out of your house, it is completely polluted. In the sewage treatment plant, we will make it less polluting. Okay. Treatment is done by heterotrophic microorganisms. Okay, we will study about this microorganisms later. Now, which are the different plants our government has undertaken in order to clean the water? You might be knowing about this Ganga Action Plan, where we are planning to clean our holy river Ganga completely. Yamuna Action Plan, again it is a plan undertaken in order to clean the Yamuna river. They both have been initiated by Ministry of Environment and Forest. Okay, this Ganga cleaning and Yamuna cleaning process has been undertaken by Ministry of Environment and Forest. Why? In order to save those major rivers of our country. Okay, these rivers are actually dying because there are so many pollutants reaching this river. In order to clean this river, we have made this Ganga Action Plan and Yamuna Action Plan. It is proposed to build a large number of sewage treatment plants so that only treated sewage may be discharged into the rivers. People who are living in the shore of Ganga and Yamuna, what they are doing is, they are running small scale industries, and all the municipal water, all the industrial water, hospital water that are running out of that are passing through the drainage system, it actually reaches the Ganga river before going into any sewage treatment plant. Okay, with this plan, what they have done, they have constructed multiple number of sewage treatment plants in order to clear the water, to make it less polluting, and then releasing it into Ganga and Yamuna. So how this sewage treatment is done? and how microorganisms are helpful in sewage treatment. Okay, you know sewage treatment plants carry out this cleaning process, sewage treatment process. How microorganisms are involved in this? Okay, that we have to study in this whole topic. Now, sewage treatment, whole sewage treatment process is carried out in 2 stages. Okay, the whole sewage treatment will be carried out in 2 stages. Here you can see the first stage, primary treatment or physical treatment. This is the first stage of sewage treatment. The second stage is secondary treatment or biological treatment. Okay, so the first treatment is primary treatment or physical treatment. Second treatment is secondary treatment or biological treatment. Here you can see we are doing everything physically here. Okay, so whole sewage treatment is carried out in 2 stages. We are talking about first stage, which is primary treatment. Second is known as secondary treatment. Okay, and first treatment or primary treatment is known as physical treatment because whatever action we are doing here, whatever treatment we are giving to water, it is done physically. Here, biologically, in this step your microorganism comes into picture. Okay, here we are using the microorganisms in order to treat the water. When I say treat, we are going to clarify or clean the water. Now, what happens in primary treatment or physical treatment? Okay, what actually takes place in the physical treatment? In physical treatment, what we do is, we will remove all the physical particles. Okay, we will do the physical removal of particles, large and small, from sewage through filtration and sedimentation. So, in primary treatment and physical treatment, what we do is, we will take the water, we will remove all the debris or any the waste which can be seen through your eyes. We will remove all those physical particles from the water, and we will do it physically. So what does this step do? What does it do? It involves the physical removal of particles. That means you are removing particles which are present in water physically. Okay, so it could be large particles or it could be small particles. Large particles could be paper, plastics, tins, cans, what and all you throw, or clothes, or nowadays we are throwing masks into water. All those are considered as large particles. Small particles, your soil, mud, small pebbles. Okay, all of them are small particles. We will remove all the large particles and small particles from the sewage in this primary treatment or physical treatment. How do we do it? We do it through filtration and sedimentation. Okay, filtration, passing the water, sewage, through a filter, where the filter will remove all the physical waste and it will pass the water. Here, very minute particles will not be filtered. Okay, so there will be a large filter through which you will be sending the water. I will show you the picture now. There will be a large wire mesh. Okay, we put wire mesh above our well, so that nothing falls into it, no big particles fall into it. Okay, similar way what we do in filtration is, we will keep a filter. Filter is in the form of large wire mesh. Okay, see here, wire mesh. So we will pass the water through wire mesh. Wire mesh will collect all the physical particles. For example, if any cloths are in the water, if there is any plastic, if there is any paper, if there are any cans, tins are moving in the water, then it will be filtered by this particular filter. Then comes the step sedimentation. Sedimentation is a process where you allow the water to stay in a tank undisturbed for few days. Okay, you will allow the passage of water into a tank which is generally known as settling tank. Okay, in this settling tank, you will allow the water to remain for few hours to few days in an undisturbed state. That means you will not disturb the water. So at that particular time, what happens is all the soil particles or any mud or small stones which will be present in the water will be collected at the bottom of the tank. Okay, and water, the water will be collected at the upper part. So this is known as sedimentation. All the sediments present in the water will be present in the lower surface of the tank, and the water will be present upper to it, in the upper surface. So this is known as sedimentation. So we will study about this. I will show you the picture also. We will look into the first step. What actually happens as soon as the water goes from your house into the drainage. From the drainage, all the drainage across the city, all the drainage system will be connected to a sewage treatment plant. Okay, you are just releasing the water from your house into a drainage which is present in front of your house. From the drainage system runs into a sewage treatment plant. Okay, likewise, the drainage system across the city will be reaching a particular sewage treatment plant. Okay, what happens to this drainage water or sewage as soon as it reaches the sewage treatment plant? The first step is initially all the floating waste. I have already mentioned floating debris is a waste which are floating in the water. Plastic, paper, cloths, tins, okay, all these are known as floating debris. They will be removed by sequential filtration by passing them through wire mesh screens. Okay, look into this diagram. This is the pipe which is bringing your sewage into this whole setup will be present in the sewage treatment plant. So this is the pipe which is bringing the raw sewage, that is sewage from your house. As soon as the sewage reaches the sewage treatment plant, it will pass through you. Here you see there is 1, 2, 3 layers of screens. Okay, there is 1, 2, 3 screens. They are nothing but wire mesh. Okay, wire mesh, you can imagine a rectangle or a square shaped mesh, okay, with larger holes in it. Okay, so this is how a wire mesh looks like. It is a kind of screen. Okay, so this type of wire mesh will be present. Okay, so here I have drawn only one, whereas here you can see there are 3 layers of this wire mesh. So when the water or the sewage, I will not use the word water, I will use the word sewage. When the sewage passes through this filter, all the physical debris, plastics, papers, tins, iron pieces or any cloths are there, all those will be stuck here. Okay, it will be filtered here. Then it passes through, through the filter or the wire mesh. So, okay, through the wire mesh screens. Because they screen all the larger debris, it is known as wire mesh screens. Then what happens? There will be some soil and small pebbles, small stones, okay, and mud particles. Soil and small pebbles will be there in water. They are actually quite small. They will not be filtered in the wire mesh. Okay, they will not be filtered in the wire mesh. So they will be sent into something called as grit chamber. So here you see this picture. This is grit chamber. It is a chamber specially made in order to collect the grit at the bottom. Okay, this is a chamber actually made, known as grit chamber. It is specially made in order to collect all the grit here. Now you have sent the sewage into the sewage treatment plant. All the bigger particles are removed. Okay, now there are some, there are some soil and small stones, pebbles present in the water. What to do? This soil and small pebbles are together known as grit. Okay, so soil and small pebbles are known as grit. In order to remove this, you have to send it to a grit chamber. You will send it to a chamber like this. You will allow the water to stay there undisturbed. So what happens? Water will be on the upper surface. These soils, all the pebbles will go to the bottom of the grit chamber. From that particular chamber, the grit can be removed. Okay. So this is the grit chamber. Here you see, we are removing the grit. Here it is written grit chamber. Here it is written grit disposal. That means you are removing all the grit. You don't want the grit to pass through the next step. So you will remove all the grit, all the soil particles, small pebbles, it will be removed. Okay, here you have clear water. This water will be sent next to the primary settling tank. Primary settling tank. Okay, primary settling tank means there is one more called as secondary settling tank. So settling tank is a place, as I already told you, settling tank is a tank where you will leave the water for few hours to few days, so that nobody touches the water and water remains calm, undisturbed. Okay, so at that particular time what happens? Whatever solid particles are there. Okay, now we have removed grit, soil and grit. Now if any other particles are there apart from pure water, just the plain water, it will be collected at the bottom. Okay, so here we are removing all the bigger waste or the floating debris. Here we will remove the soil and the small pebbles. Here we will remove all the small or the solid particles present in water. If you allow the water to remove, to be in a settling tank for a longer duration of time, if there is any particular solid particles present in the water, remaining in the water, everything will come and settle in the bottom. Okay, so that waste or those solid particles are known as primary sludge. Okay, they are known as primary sludge or raw sludge. This will be taken, it will be sent for treatment. Okay, so this primary sludge will be taken out. Okay, now here when we are keeping the water in a settling tank, what happens is water will be collected. Here there will be two layers. This is also known as sedimentation. Sedimentation means you allow the water to remain in a tank. Water will, the pure water without any debris or any particle will flow, will be on the upper surface. All the solid particles will be remaining in the lower surface. Okay, like this. Here in this part we have all the solid particles collected at the bottom of the settling tank. This process is known as sedimentation. Okay, because we are making the water, we are separating the water from this particular solid particles. All the solid particles, since they are heavy, they will come and store at the bottom of the tank. This particular particles are known as residue. Okay, while doing a chemical experiment also you might have seen in the test tube, when you are mixing two chemicals, you will see the residue at the bottom. Okay, so what do you call the upper portion? We call it as effluent. Okay, that comes to the bottom of the test tube, what do we call them? We call them as residue. Okay, and here there will be one more layer of chemicals. This is which is on the upper portion of this test tube. We call them as supernatant. Okay, generally it is referred as supernatant. In our case, sewage treatment plant, the supernatant is generally referred as effluent. Okay, so when we are conducting any experimentation, especially sedimentation, when we are conducting this sedimentation, we are allowing the water to sediment settling at the bottom of, here in this case, the particles that are settling at the bottom of the tank, they are known as residue, and which is floating in the upper portion, they are known as supernatant. Here in this case, we are calling them as effluent. Okay, I hope this is clear to you. Now let's come back to the diagram. So from here we are passing it to the grit chamber. Here all the grit will be removed. We are passing it to the primary settling tank for sedimentation. Here all the sediments, the sedimentation is done, and all the sediments are collected here. They are known as residue. Here the upper portion where there is only water, okay, there are no solid particles. This part is known as supernatant. Okay, here you can see the grit are removed by sedimentation in grit chamber. Sewage then passed to primary settling tank where all the solid particles that settle in the bottom form the primary sludge. Okay, so here I told you this particle are known as residue. In sewage treatment plant, this part is known as primary sludge. They are known as primary sludge. And the supernatant forms the effluent, and the water which is floating here in this part, this is known as primary effluent. Okay, so we are not taking the residue, they are considered as primary sludge. We are taking only the supernatant, okay, which is the water here. They are known as primary effluent because they are coming from primary settling tank. They are known as effluent. So from here you are passing the effluent or supernatant here, that is known as primary effluent. Okay, the effluents from the primary settling tank are taken for secondary treatment. So these steps are considered as primary treatment. Here you can see when the sewage comes into the sewage treatment plant, it will be passed through few wire mesh screens. All the floating debris will be collected here. It will be passed through grit chamber. All the soil and pebbles will be removed here. It will be sent for disposal. That is known as grit. Soil and pebbles are together known as grit. It will be collected. Only the water will be sent here, where we might feel there are no more particles, but in the settling tank we will get to know that there are some certain solid particles present in the water. They will settle at the bottom of the settling tank. We call them as primary sludge, whereas the upper part where there is only water, that part is known as supernatant. In primary treatment plant we call them as effluent. So from here the effluent comes out. Till here primary treatment is over. Here onwards secondary treatment starts, or it is known as biological treatment of water. So initially when the effluent comes in, here you see, don't get confused with the arrow mark. Water is coming from the settling tank. It is directly going to this tank which is known as aeration tank. There is a big tank, okay, known as aeration tank. The primary effluent is passed into large aeration tanks. I showed you the picture with constant mechanical agitation and air supply. It is also supplied with aerobic microorganism. What is the speciality of this aeration tank? Here you can see there is an arrow mark here which shows something is rotating. Okay, so in this aeration tank, provision is made for the constant mixing of water. Okay, so here in this aeration tank, what is done is there is continuous mixing of water. Okay, also there is continuous supply of air. Here you can see air compressor that is supplying air to this aeration tank. Okay, we are not worried about air compressor, it is just giving air. So this aeration tank has three facilities. First of all, it is supplied with air. Okay, regularly air, when I say it carries oxygen, right? So from this air compressor chamber, oxygen or air is given to this aeration tank. So second provision is it is continuously agitating or mixing the water so that properly the oxygen gets mixed in the water, or the air that is coming in, it is mixed in the water. Why it has to be mixed in the water? Why oxygen has to get mixed? Why there is continuous mixing? Because you read this, it is supplied with aerobic microbes. To this aeration tank, we are also adding, from here you see this pipe which is coming here. This is, arrow mark is towards this side. Okay, so what happens is, to this chamber, we are also adding certain aerobic microorganisms. Okay, we are also adding certain aerobic microorganisms. Why we are adding aerobic microorganisms? Okay, what aerobic microorganisms will do is, aerobic microorganisms, now you have sewage came in, you have removed all the solid particles, debris, floating debris, you have removed soil, pebbles, all the solid particles which was there in the water. What about the microorganisms? Okay, what about the microorganisms? Also, there will be some organic matter present in the water. Right? There will be some organic matter present in the water which is not visible to you, which cannot be removed physically. So now what you will do is, you will add aerobic microorganisms. What these aerobic microorganisms will do? Aerobic microorganism will start breaking down all the organic matter present in the water, that is sewage. Aerobic microorganisms will digest, or it will break down all the organic matter which are present in the sewage. Okay, when the aerobic microorganisms are breaking down these organic matter, they actually need a lot of oxygen. Okay, and there is this oxygen will be supplied. As I already told you, there will be a provision for supply of air in the aeration tank. That's why we call it as aeration tank. And there is proper mixing of this air, okay, so that it gets dissolved in the water, and these microorganisms, aerobic microorganisms, gets sufficient oxygen. Air, when I say, it carries oxygen, right? So when these aerobic microorganisms are breaking down the organic matter, it requires more and more oxygen. Thus, that more and more oxygen will be given in the form of air. In order to make sure this oxygen is properly mixed in the water, there will be continuous agitation or mixing of water. So, hope you are able to understand. We will read this. The primary effluent is passed into large aeration tanks with constant mechanical agitation. Agitation is mixing, and air supply. It is supplied with aerobic microbes. Aerobic microbes. So, okay, here we see this allows vigorous growth of useful aerobic microbes into flocks. Okay, this information I will discuss now. I told you, when aerobic microbes are supplied into the aeration tank, there is continuous supply of air, there is continuous mixing of water. Now what happens? The number of aerobic microbes increases. Initially you have added only a small amount of aerobic microorganisms into this aeration tank. Okay, into this aeration tank you had added only a small amount of aerobic microorganisms. Whereas when there is proper supply of air, when there is proper mixing of water, what happens? The number of aerobic microorganism increases. Now we call this mass of microorganism as flocks. Okay, so which type of aerobic microorganisms? Okay, the type of aerobic microorganisms that we are using here is bacteria and fungus. So bacteria and fungus, when they grow together, we call them as flocks. Okay, so this allows vigorous growth of useful aerobic microbes. So when there is proper agitation and air supply, these aerobic microbes, they will be vigorous, that means fast growth of this aerobic microorganisms in the water. So when there is too much of growth of useful microorganism, we call them as flocks. So this mass of useful microorganism we call as flocs. Flocs are masses of bacteria associated with fungus. Okay, so what are these aerobic microbes? Aerobic microbes are nothing but bacteria which are associated with fungus. Together we call them as flocs. Hope this is clear to you. Now, the growth of microbes, when these microbes are growing, bacteria and fungus are growing more and more in flocs, it consumes major part of the organic matter present in the effluent. Effluent is the water passing from the primary settling tank to the aeration tank. So I have already told you, mentioned this. This significantly reduces the BOD or biochemical oxygen demand of the effluent. There is a separate topic known as BOD or biochemical oxygen demand. I will explain it in detail when we go to that particular topic. Still, I will just give you a brief about what is BOD. Now, I told you the water that you are having, water that is present in the aeration tank has got lot of organic matter, okay, which has not been removed through wire mesh screen, in the grid chamber, in the primary settling tank. It has not been removed. It is present in the aeration tank now. When bacteria and fungus are growing together, bacteria and fungus are the aerobic organisms. Aerobic, let me clarify that. Aerobic microbes, what do you mean by aerobic microbes? Microbes which will live only in the presence of air and or oxygen. Okay? Aerobic microbes means the microorganisms which will live only in the presence of oxygen are known as aerobic microbes. So there is one more category known as anaerobic microbes. The microbes which will live only in the absence of oxygen. Here, aerobic microbes. This continuous mixing of water there is continuous supply of oxygen, okay. There is continuous supply of oxygen. So this tank is full, the water is full of, water is completely mixed with oxygen. Water has got a lot of oxygen. Now then, there is continuous mixing of water so that water gets properly mixed with oxygen. Now when you add aerobic microbes are the microorganisms which live only in the presence of oxygen. Okay. Now there are so many organic matter already present in the water or your sewage. Now what happens is, here I will show. Imagine this is organic matter. This is your bacteria or fungi present in your flocs. They are aerobic because they need oxygen. Now what they do is, they want to break down this organic matter. This is organic matter which is actually bad for water, and more organic matter means there is more pollution. Okay, you should understand when there is more organic matter in the water, that means water is more polluted. So what this aerobic microbe will do, it wants to break down this organic matter. Okay, now in order to break down this organic matter, since it is aerobic, without oxygen it cannot function. So there is so much water in the tank. So it will take oxygen from the tank. Okay, everything is happening here. Okay, but I am here, just writing for your understanding. So this aerobic microbe wants to break down this organic matter. It seeks oxygen. It wants oxygen. While taking the oxygen, this aerobic microbe will start breaking this organic matter. We call this as oxidizing, because breaking this organic matter in the presence of oxygen. So this reaction is known as oxidizing. So we can say aerobic microorganisms will oxidize all the organic matter. This here I am representing only one particular aerobic microbe. Similar way, there are millions of aerobic microbes present inside the aeration tank. So every microbe will start oxidizing the organic matter by consuming the oxygen present in the aeration tank. Where is the oxygen coming from? You are supplying the air. Okay, and there is proper mixing of water also. Now what happens? All the organic matter present in the water comes down. Okay, that means your water has become less polluted. Now very less organic matters are present, so your water becomes less polluted. Okay, that means this significantly reduces the BOD. BOD means biochemical oxygen demand. BOD means in order to break down this organic matter, this aerobic microbe will consume the oxygen. That's what is biochemical oxygen demand. Okay, so biochemical oxygen demand means if there is organic matter present in the water, in order to break down that particular organic matter, how much amount of oxygen will be consumed. Okay, in order to break down the organic matter, breakdown means biochemical reaction, because it is done by aerobic microorganisms, right? So in order to break down the organic matter for this biochemical reaction, how much oxygen is demanded or how much oxygen is needed. That's what is biochemical oxygen demand is. When there is more pollution in the water, biochemical oxygen demand is more. Okay, you can relate, right? When there is more organic matter in the water, that means more and more oxygen is required to break down that particular organic matter. When you don't know how much organic matter is present in the water, however, depending upon the consumption of oxygen by this aerobic microorganisms, we can tell whether the organic matter is more or less. If the oxygen is being used more and more, you can say organic matters are more. If the oxygen is being used less and less, you can say the organic matter is less. So depending on how much oxygen is being utilized, you can say, you can calculate the amount of organic matter present in the sewage. If there is more oxygen usage, that means there are more organic matter. That means water is more polluted. If there is less oxygen usage, that indicates there is less organic matter, so water is less polluted. Okay, so that's what biochemical demand, oxygen demand is. We will study in under a separate heading. So the growth of microbes consumes the major part of the organic matter. Of the microbes consumes major part of the organic matter present in the effluent. When more and more microorganisms are growing, they are getting sufficient oxygen here. With this sufficient air or oxygen, these aerobic microbes are growing more and more, and they will start consuming the major part of the organic matter present in the effluent. They will start consuming most of the organic matter present in the sewage. So this significantly reduces the biochemical oxygen demand. That indirectly says it actually reduces the pollution of the water. When biochemical oxygen demand decreases, it indicates pollution also decreasing, because there is less oxygen being consumed or there is less oxygen being demanded. That means there is less organic matter. If the biochemical oxygen demand is more, that means pollution is more. Once the BOD of the sewage reduced significantly, the effluent is then passed into the secondary settling tank, where the bacterial flocks are allowed to sediment. This sediment is called as activated sludge. Now, here in this aeration tank, Phlox are growing. That means combination of bacteria and fungi are growing. They are using the oxygen present in the water in order to break down the organic matter. Once they have broken down all the organic matter, water is almost clean now. Water is, we cannot say it is clean, we can say it is less polluted. Now we are sending the water, okay, we are sending this water to the next tank here. This is known as secondary settling tank. Okay, here I have, I have mentioned secondary clarifier. Secondary clarifier is nothing but secondary settling tank. So this is the secondary settling tank. So water from here will be sent to secondary settling tank. So here it is similar to this settling tank. This is primary settling tank. This is the second one. Here what happened? All the supernatant remained up, whereas all the solid particles went down. Those solid particles are known as primary sludge. Okay, because primary sludge is coming from primary settling tank. Here you are sending water to the secondary settling tank. Here what happens now, there is no solid particles like your primary settling tanks or like primary sludge. However, all the flocks that was present in the aeration tank will come and settle at the bottom. Flocks are nothing but association of bacteria and fungi, which actually are the aerobic microorganisms which helped you in breaking the organic matter here. Okay, so all those aerobic microorganisms or flocks or the association of bacteria and fungi all are same. They will come and settle at the bottom of the secondary settling tank. Here also you will allow the water undisturbed for few hours to few days. So all the flocks or the aerobic microbes will come and settle at the bottom. Now this here is known as activated sludge. Here in this condition the residue was known as primary sludge. Here this residue is known as activated sludge. Okay, now what we will do with this activated sludge? Major part of it will be sent. See here, major part of it will be sent to the sludge treatment and disposal. Here also you see here. Here also we got primary sludge. Both are coming together. Okay, both are going to the primary sludge and this activated sludge. Both are going to the sludge treatment. That means it will be treated further. Okay, the sludge cannot go as a waste. Okay, we will use this sludge for the further process. Now I told you majority. Imagine there is 100% flocks here, 90% flocks will go to the sludge treatment. That means for further treatment it will go, or for further disposal it will be sent. What happens to the 10% flocks? It will be taken, it will be put back to the aeration tank. Imagine when you sent this effluent initially to this aeration tank, you had added aerobic microorganisms, right, which actually grown later, which actually grew later in order to form the flocks. So in order to, so that initial inoculation of this aerobic microorganisms will be done through these flax. Okay, so through these flocks or activated sludge. I hope this is clear to you. All the aerobic microbes will come and settle at the bottom. They will be considered as activated sludge. 90% will be sent to the sludge treatment and disposal unit, whereas 10% will be sent back to the aeration tank for next treatment, for the water coming in the next batch. Again this 10% flocks that you are sending, again they activated sludge you are sending, it has aerobic microorganisms, it will grow, it will develop into flocks, it will oxidize all the organic present in the water coming in the next batch. Okay, now this is what happens in the secondary treatment area. After that you see, you have taken all the sludge, all the residue from the secondary treatment tank and you have used it for two purposes. One is for sending to aeration tank, another one is for sending to sludge treatment. What happens to this supernatant? The upper part of pure water now, less polluted water, that is known as effluent. Here, since it is going out of secondary tank, secondary settling tank, we call it as secondary effluent. Whereas this was known as primary effluent going from primary settling tank. Okay. So when it comes out secondary effluent, secondary settling tank, you call it as secondary effluent. You add some disinfectant. Why are you adding disinfectant? You are adding disinfectant in order to make sure if there are any pathogens or any microorganisms are there, it will be killed. Okay, you will add disinfectant, then you will discharge it to surface water. Okay, surface water means you can discharge it to river now or any water body. Here we will see, once the BOD of the sewage reduced significantly, the effluent is then passed into the secondary settling tank where the bacterial flocks are allowed to sediment. This sediment is called as activated sludge. This is known as activated sludge. Small part of the activated sludge is pumped back to aeration tank to serve as the inoculum. Inoculum I have already mentioned when explaining about curd. When we add 1 spoon of curd to the milk, that 1 spoon of curd acts as inoculum because it carries lot of microorganisms. Here also, when small part of the activated sludge is put again, small part of activated sludge is put back into the aeration tank, that acts as inoculum. Now, the remaining sludge is pumped into a tank called as anaerobic sludge digester. Okay. Here, I have told you activated sludge, major part, almost 90% of which it will be sent for sludge treatment. Okay, here, I hope this is clear to you. Here, all the water that we are taking here, which is known as secondary effluent, we will add some disinfectant in order to kill the unwanted microorganisms. Then we will send that to water body like river, ponds, lakes, whatever. Okay, now let's see what happens to this activated sludge, which is coming for sludge treatment. Okay, this activated sludge will be sent to a chamber known as anaerobic sludge digester. Here, passing from this region, it will go to a anaerobic sludge digester, a big tank. Okay, this sludge will be sent to a tank which is known as anaerobic sludge digester. Okay, the word says anaerobic, that means digesting the sludge. We are sending it to a particular tank which is known as anaerobic sludge digester. That means in this particular place, all the sludge will be completely digested. Okay, how? Anaerobically, that means in the absence of oxygen. This process of removing or digesting the sludge does not require air. So we call it as anaerobic sludge digester. Okay, that means we digest the sludge anaerobically. That means in the absence of oxygen. Now, what will be present in this anaerobic sludge digester? Imagine it as a tank which contains a lot of anaerobic microorganisms. Okay, so you read this. In the anaerobic sludge digester, there are other kinds of bacteria which grow anaerobically, digest the bacteria and fungi in the sludge. Anaerobic organisms like bacteria and fungi which were grown as flocks. Now, this activated sludge will be sent to a, this activated sludge will be sent to a anaerobic sludge digester. Okay, in this particular digester, we will completely digest this activated sludge. Activated sludge is what? They are flocks. What are flocks? Group of bacteria plus fungi. When you send this to this particular sludge digester, before this activated sludge comes or after this activated sludge comes, we will add anaerobic bacteria to this digester. So when the flocks, bacteria and fungi comes in, this anaerobic bacteria will completely digest this bacteria and fungi present in the activated sludge. Okay, this anaerobic bacteria will completely, anaerobic bacteria, why do we call it as anaerobic bacteria? Because this bacteria has the capacity to live in the absence of oxygen. It does not require oxygen. So it will completely digest the bacteria and fungi present in the activated sludge. Okay, so in the process of digesting this particular bacteria and fungi, this anaerobic bacteria will release something called as biogas. Okay, so this process is not waste. When you send this activated sludge to a digester, in this digester we have anaerobic bacteria. This activated sludge has combination of bacteria and fungi known as phlox. So this anaerobic bacteria will act on this bacteria and fungi present in the phlox, and they will act on this and they will release this biogas. Okay, we can read this. If the anaerobic sludge digester, in the anaerobic sludge digester, there are other kinds of bacteria which grow anaerobically and they will digest the bacteria and fungi in the sludge. Okay, anaerobic sludge digester, there will be certain bacteria growing anaerobically in the absence of oxygen. They will digest the bacteria and fungi in the sludge. During this digestion, bacteria produces biogas. Okay, so in this process of digesting the bacteria and fungi, this anaerobic bacteria will produce biogas. What is the biogas? It is a mixture of methane, hydrogen sulfide and carbon monoxide. So it is a useful process. This biogas can be used for different purposes. Okay, now the effluent from the secondary treatment plant is released into natural water body like rivers and streams. Okay, so that's what I mentioned here. So the effluent coming from the secondary settling tank will be sent into different water body. So the whole process is known as sewage treatment. Okay, where sewage coming from your house will be undergoing primary treatment and secondary treatment. In the primary treatment, we will send the raw sewage into the treatment plant. It will pass through wire mesh screens. All the floating debris will be collected here. Then it will pass through a grit chamber. All the grit will be collected here. Then the sewage will be sent to the primary settling tank. All the solid particles will be collected in the form of primary sludge. The supernatant is known as primary effluent. They will go to the aeration tank. In the aeration tank, we have constant agitation or mixing and air supply. Also, there is some, aerobic microorganisms present. When there is continuous supply of oxygen, the aerobic microorganisms will increase in their number, developing into phlox, group of bacteria and fungi. This phlox will be when this water is sent to the secondary settling tank. When this water is sent to the secondary settling tank, the phlox will be stored at the bottom. Okay, and the supernatant is known as secondary effluent. It will be sent out by adding disinfectant. We can send it to any water body. Now this activated sludge, small part of it will be added back to the aeration tank for the next set of water coming and the next batch of water coming in, and the majority of the activated sludge will be sent to a sludge digester plant. Okay, or anaerobic sludge digester. In the anaerobic sludge digester, this activated sludge, the bacteria and the fungi present in the activated sludge will be digested by some anaerobic bacteria present in the digester, and biogas will be released. Biogas can be used for multiple purposes. So this is how a sewage treatment plant works. Okay, I hope this is clear to you. So there are two stages: primary treatment, secondary treatment. Okay, in the primary treatment all physical activity will be done. In the secondary treatment all the treatment will be done with the help of microorganism. I hope this topic is clear to you. The sewage treatment is a very important topic. They might ask you only the primary treatment or the secondary treatment, or they will ask you for biological treatment. Okay, next class we will move on with another topic known as biochemical oxygen demand and biogas.